Welcome back, Sebastian here. So time for my review of qualifying for the 2024 Monaco Grand Prix. So really nice conditions, really sunny conditions to start qualifying. And of course, with this Monaco track, there's a very high risk of track evolution being quite strong throughout the session, particularly Q1 and Q2. We all remember what happened to Leclerc in 2019, got knocked out of Q1 that year from basically sitting in the garage because Ferrari underestimated the gap. That would be the gap to get into Q2. But anyway, Haas had a 1-2 after the first run, so that was a bit of a surprise. Sainz and Albon were both noted for impeding. The five drivers at the bottom of the timesheets after those first runs, so the drivers at risk of getting knocked out, were Perez, Gasly, Ricciardo, Zhou, and Sainz. Ricciardo has traffic turn 3. It looked like it was the two Sauber cars who kind of perhaps impeded with him. Perez, after his second flying run, of course, because track evolution is so high, you expect to kind of be a little bit higher than you would expect right after you set your flying lap. And he's only able to go 14th, so that's definitely a surprise. Norris was at risk as well at this point of being knocked out, and with 2 minutes left in the session, the 5 drivers at risk of getting knocked out were Ricciardo, Norris, Perez, Bottas, and Zhou. And when it was all said and done after those final laps, a couple big surprises being knocked out in Q1. Alonso knocked out. His qualifying struggles continue from Imola. Sargent, Perez, the big shock as well in the Red Bull. Really, it seems like we're starting to see a repeat of last year unfold before our eyes. And then Bottas and Zhou on the bottom row. They've been struggled and been absolutely terrible all weekend long. Stroll also out-qualified his teammate at Monaco for the first time, so there's something. I guess I jinxed Alonso in my preview video, bringing that stat up. Into Q2 we go. Hulkenberg glances the wall at turn 1. Ocon was then blocked by Hulkenberg. Magnussen, Hulkenberg, Ricciardo, Ocon, and Gasly were the drivers in the bottom 5 after that first run. Verstappen's leading time, so leading Q2, was already faster than the 2023 pole times, seeing just how fast kind of the year-by-year development is with these F1 cars. Gasly, Stroll, Magnussen, Hulkenberg, Ricciardo are in the bottom 5 with 2 minutes left. And then after those final runs in Q2, Ocon, Hulkenberg, Ricciardo, Stroll, and Magnussen were knocked out in Q2. So Haas struggling a bit with pace after being so quick in Q1, having a 1-2 after the first runs. Gasly as well, really strong run, really strong lap in Q2 to get himself up into Q3. Was very happy on radio with that. Then we get to Q3, of course, Verstappen going for an F1 record 9th straight pole, and regardless of what happened, I did not jinx it. I don't believe in that kind of stuff. Leclerc benchmark sets the benchmark of a 1:10.48. Piastri was P2. He's looked really quick all through the practice sessions. He was 0.026 off, so less than a tenth of a second, so really much in that conversation for maybe being in a fight for pole. Verstappen P3, 0.149 off, struggling quite a bit at Mirabeau and at the Nouvelle Chicane, coming on the radio saying that. Sainz P4, Russell P5, but both of them were quite a far margin off of the times that the top 3 were doing. So, I really felt like it was between these 3 drivers for pole. Then we get to the final runs. Let's see, the Mercedes were the first drivers to go out on those final runs. They go 3rd and 5th. Leclerc, final lap, extends his lead to 1:10.270. Verstappen then hits the wall, but really glances the wall at St. Devat, loses a couple of tenths of a second and basically just aborts his lap because he knows that he won't be able to improve. And so after all said and done, Leclerc takes pole position, his 3rd pole position at Monaco, and of course sets himself up really nicely to finally take that elusive home win that he's so desperately been wanting. So, of course, last 2 times he's taken pole, things were a complete disaster. 2021, he did not DNS. 2022, it was the strategy disaster, so we'll see how things go tomorrow. And obviously another thing before I should mention, of course, one of the benefits of time zones, I guess the fact I slept in, was that Haas were disqualified from qualifying for a DRS infringement. So that means this grid here that I've written is already wrong. But anyway, taking a look at said grid, so we got Leclerc on pole, Piastri on the front row, looked really strong all weekend. Sainz P3, good result from him. Norris P4, Russell P5, Verstappen P6 sandwich between those two Mercedes with Hamilton the other half of the sandwich in P7. Tsunoda P8, really strong result from him again. Albon P9, Gasly P10, Hulkenberg P11, and then Ricciardo will be P12, Stroll P13, and Alonso P14. Sargent P15, Perez P16, Bottas P17, and Joe P18. And then Hulkenberg and Magnussen will most likely be allowed to start the race at the steward's discretion. They'll be either starting from the pit lane if they want to make setup changes, or they'll be starting 19th and 20th. So it seems like it's a very similar situation to what happened to Hamilton in Brazil in 2021, where basically the DRS slot gap was basically too big, and that unfortunately is one of those things where it's very much a black and white penalty. I mean, really, I don't think either of them were going to get points. Hulkenberg starting P12, so outside the points already, and unless you have some kind of weird strategy where you somehow overcut a whole bunch of cars, you're probably not going to get into the points anyway. On the topic of all those impedings, as of the recording of this video, which is about 7, 8 hours after qualifying is finished, there's still no word on penalties to either Albon for the impeding with Sainz, or for whatever happened with Ricciardo, or Hulkenberg's already disqualified, so they can't give him a penalty. But yeah, nothing yet on those incidents, so at this point it's fairly safe to assume that possibly no penalties coming from that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. That's my review of qualifying for the 2024 Monaco Grand Prix. So I'll be back. Don't know if I'll be able to watch the race live. It'll be a tough one to watch. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.